Welcome back to the Practice Pulse, a podcast dedicated to showcasing the people, products, and systems shaping the future of wellness, longevity, and private practice. I'm your host, Nancy Margrit with Optima Pro AI, where we build practical AI systems for wellness and longevity brands, helping them scale operations, improve client experience, and retain the human touch while they grow. Today's conversation is a little different and honestly one of my favorites. I'm joined by Dr. C. Huang, the founder of Ion Skincare and Supplements. Dr. C doesn't advise patients directly, but his work sits at a really fascinating intersection of science, inflammation, longevity, and beauty. And specifically, something most of us have never been taught to question, iron. If you've ever been told you're a little anemic, taken iron supplements for years, or you've wondered why inflammation seems to be the root of everything, this episode is for you. Dr. C brings a scientific first perspective that challenges some very common questions and assumptions. I think it's going to spark a lot of wait, what moments in the best kind of way. So let's jump in. Dr. C, I'd love to start a little bit with your story. You don't come from a traditional influencer or skincare background, so what pulled you into this work?
Thank you, Nancy. Thank you for getting me into this platform. Yes, I wasn't trained as a skincare or wear care person. I started my career as occupational medicine. Believed or not, I worked on black lung disease. I don't know if you heard about it. It's a disease related to or caused by coal dust exposure. People work in underground coal mine and they are exposed to coal dust and they develop a disease called black lung disease. And there's a huge difference between the eastern coal mine and western coal mines. In eastern coal mines like Pennsylvania and West Virginia, there's a high level of incidence of black lung disease, and the level of iron is very, very high. That's how I discovered when I was a PhD student in France. Then in the West coal mines, exposure condition is the same, mining condition is the same for the same tenure, but workers have much lower incidence of black lung disease. They have iron there, but there's also a mineral called calcium carbonate, prevent iron from becoming bioavailable. So you won't be able to damage the lung after inhalation. So I found this is very, very interesting. And I proposed to the US government to inject calcium carbonate into the eastern coal mine to neutralize iron. Then, it becomes safer. But it's very hard to change regulation. So I was looking for other alternatives. I realized my life is short. I cannot just fight the regulation for the next with my life. So in 2003, when there's a women's health study showing that hormone replacement therapy can cause harm, So I said maybe I should take a look of that, use my knowledge I learned previously. So what I did is that I used menopause as a model. As you know, the most telling sign of menopause is cessation of menstruation. It's when you don't have periods for 12 months, you're officially, enter into menopause.
Right.
The outcome of that is increase of iron. And over the transition period from premenopause to postmenopause, in the US is from age 42 to age 51. And there's an increase of iron by about 100 to 200%.
Wow.
Yes. So that is going to how does this can affect women's health? So I used that model to study increased iron as a result of menopause and how they contribute to breast cancer, osteoporosis, and skin aging. So that's how I started, transition from my occupational medicine to women's health.
What an unorthodox path that you took
Yes.
to get to where you are. That's very fascinating. I'm here in Kentucky, so we're close to some coal mining communities in some of the more rural areas.
Exactly.
So
I didn't mention Kentucky. I'm sorry, but
no,
Kentucky
it's
is a
okay.
part of it. Yes.
But yeah, I love that you took, that opportunity to expand it out and look at other areas that you could positively benefit, helping people. So that's That's wonderful. And I did not know about the menopause thing is very fascinating to me as well. I have a friend who does a lot of work in women's health, and I think that's really fascinating that iron spike can be linked to so many different things. And I didn't realize it can double in situations. So that's fascinating. One of the things that you said on our last call really kind of stopped me in my tracks. And that's that people can have an iron deficiency and an iron overload at the same time, that it's not something most doctors talk about. Can you explain that for our audience in kind of simple terms and kind of also the scientific backing?
Yes, absolutely. And actually, iron is a double-edged sword. So I think the medical community has known iron deficiency for about 200 years, 2 centuries. So this is really in our training. In medical school, we talk about the iron deficiency, but we never talk about the iron overload. We think that iron overload is only related to genetic disease, such as hemochromatosis. I don't know if you heard about it. So it's also called black blood disease. Okay. So I was studying black lung disease related to coal dust exposure. Iron cause is black, but iron overload in genetic is also called black blood disease. It's too much iron. It has a very dark color. And yes, but we're not talking about genetic disease. We're talking about aging and longevity. So what I really want to bring people's attention is that, yes, iron is essential. So if you don't have sufficient iron, it's going to make you sick. But on the other hand, is you have too much iron, what's going to happen? It's going to cause oxygen free radicals, oxidative stress. And, that's, I think, the foundation we have now using antioxidants to fight aging. Is that really efficient? Yes, but only to a certain degree. Because if you use antioxidants to neutralize oxidants, but your iron is still there and it can keep producing oxidants. So when antioxidants are consumed, you lose efficacy. Your aging is still happening. But this is more complicated than that. In the all health, iron deficiency and iron overload can coexist in your system. And I don't think a lot of people realize that, particularly, healthcare professionals, because this is not taught in medical school and is not really realized until recently. So and why it happens is because when aging happens, we have inflammation, and that inflammation blocks iron flow. So if you have more inflammation in your arm, in your joints, then your iron cannot get out from that joint because of inflammation, So you have pain, you have more oxidative stress because you have more iron in that tissue. You have now less iron in your blood. So when you go to see a doctor in the practice, that's only we check for your iron status. Then you say you are iron deficient or you are anemic, but you don't lack iron. You still have sufficient iron. Your body cannot use efficiently. Iron supplementation is not the best solution. The doctor may say, hey, go to CVS and buy a iron tablet. You have sufficient iron. You give them more iron, is going to make you sick. So the key thing is to rebalance your iron inside your body. So in this case, you have more iron, you have more energy in your blood, but also you have less iron in your overload tissue. You have less pain, less discomfort. That's the solution.
Okay, so what you're really saying is the issue isn't always that there's not enough iron, it's that the body can't use or move the iron properly because of the inflammation. So it's kind of a flow issue.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, interesting. And this becomes more common because when we age, we have more inflammation, which makes sense and can cause kind of that chronic inflammation. So let's talk a little bit about the tests that you're talking about. I know the audience loves actionable takeaways. So you mentioned in our previous call, ferritin is a key marker, and that's not part of a routine blood work. So why is ferritin so important?
Well, ferritin is like a sponge. When you spill your water, it absorbs. So it's kind of a protection, keep your clothes or your, countertop dry. So when you are iron deficient, it also serves as a warehouse or storage. Is that when you need iron so that you can move that iron from iron I should repeat, iron is storage protein. It stores excess iron. So when your body needs it, you can have it, very fast.
Hmm.
But the problem with this is that if you have too much it start to damage it. And we also have done population studies, using 1,500,000 people. We found that ferritin once is below 100 nanogram per ml, it supports hemoglobin. And hemoglobin is a protein carry oxygen from the lung to other tissues, so to
Hmm.
keep us alive. So we check hemoglobin in our routine physical exams, but we don't check ferritin. Ferritin is excess. And we found that when ferritin is above 100, there's no need. Below 100, ferritin and hemoglobin go side by side, grow together. But once hemoglobin reaches to 12 to 14, hemoglobin plateaus, but iron goes up, ferritin goes up. Why? Do we need it? No, because that's where it starts to damaging our health. But the normal range currently in the medical community is for women is healthy from 18 to 199, men from 20 to 300 or 299. Why we have such wide range? And if our data shows below 100 is healthy, above 100 is associated with diabetes, with heart disease, with cancer, why we need such high range? So there's some misconception there. And I think the misconception is that more iron is better. The truth is no.
Interesting. So is the ferritin, I know it's a marker of iron, but is it also a marker of inflammation?
Yes. So they go side by side. So when you have inflammation, your ferritin goes higher. And so it could fool you with diagnosis. But there's other things that we can do to make sure that if it's really true iron deficiency is meaning your ferritin is low.
Mm.
But you also have what called anemia of chronic disease. That is, when your ferritin is high, but you are anemic, and that's where you have your iron imbalanced.
Okay. That's interesting because, especially for me personally, I've taken iron supplements for years because my lab said I was mildly anemic. And just within the last year or so, I've gotten up into the normal range. But it reframes the conversation for me and it really helps me kind of get a perspective to dig a little deeper into the labs and have a better understanding. So I think that's a great takeaway from what you just said. That's interesting. So why don't you tell me a little bit, because you have several products, before we get into skincare, because skincare is one of the things that first popped up, but I feel like, more passionate about overall wellness, which I know is related some to skincare. But tell me a little bit about your product and how it helps with the iron imbalance.
Yes, so my supplements,
Uh-huh.
is mainly for iron rebalancing inside the body. And I just mentioned a disease called anemia of chronic disease. We call it anemia of chronic disease. Actually, it's a story of iron imbalance inside your body. Is that your blood is anemic? That's what, your blood tests tell you. And then you have iron overload in your tissues. That's, doctor didn't find out. So the
Right.
key thing is not iron supplementation because if you're anemic, is how to enhance the efficacy or how to really help your body use iron efficiently. And that's how I tested so many ingredients. So I found first is to reduce inflammation. You need to reduce inflammation so your iron flow gate is open. And then you can flow iron from the overloaded tissues back to the blood so you are balanced. And in this case, you feel less discomfort, you feel more energy. And my goal is that I want to use my knowledge and to apply in translation. So there's products available so I can help people to increase the quality of their life. And I got people right back to me say, hey, before I couldn't even, stand up because of the pain. I taking this, I can walk and my quality of life is so dramatically increased. And I wish your supplement will be covered by insurance, but we're not there yet. one thing that makes me feel very good is that I can use my knowledge, develop product, I can benefit people so that I would like to help them live longer and healthier, not just longer without quality of life.
Right. That's awesome. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the skin for a moment. How does excess iron affect the skin specifically?
Well, so everything in our body is dynamic. So we take in iron from the food. So our lifestyle, what you eat, affect our health. That has been shown. Like if you consume more steak and red meat, you are more likely or you are at higher risk of dying by different disease versus white meat like chicken breast. So if more iron we take, it's going to really affect our health. How iron affect skin. So when iron is inside the body and there's no way to go except through the skin peeling, and that's not my finding. And in the 1960s, one Dr. Winthrop, he injected radioactive iron through inside the body through IV injection, intravenous injection, so to make sure your radioactive your radioactive iron is 100% inside your body. Then he took the whole count of your radioactive iron inside your body. He collected stools, urine. He found that over 100 days, your body lost about 25% of radioactive iron, but urine has none, and stool has about 8%. Then where's the other 17% go? It's in the skin.
Wow.
Skin exfoliation really, excrete iron. That's how this is discovered. And iron is really the root cause of oxygen-free radicals. That was discovered in 1890 by Dr. Fenton, which is what called Fenton reaction. And you can Google it, Fenton, Fenton reaction, discovered in 1890. So you have a lot of iron in your skin. What's going to happen? It's going to damage your skin. It's going to cause wrinkles. It's going to really aging. And also iron is colorful. Hemoglobin is red, ferritin is brown, and you have all this accumulation. You have an even skin tone. And I want to add one more sentence here, Nancy. Iron stays in the skin for 60 days,
Wow.
and our skin turnover is 26 days, right? So what's just going to happen? So as we get older, there's more iron in our skin, and that could explain as we get older and our skin get darker
Mhm.
because more iron in it. So we need to really remove iron from the skin to really to fight wrinkles, spots, stuff like that. And that's why I developed my technology, and it's more deep than just talking about iron. We have to know where iron is stored. Ferritin is there distributed evenly. Oh, more iron in the hair glands, sweat glands than other place, and more in the age spots as well. So, so that's how I developed a technology I call de-ironizing inducer, DII technology. It's a brand called Ion. It's I/ON.
Mhm.
It's from iron, but I removed the R so to not to repeat again was too much iron. So that's how I named the brand as Ion.
I love that. So how does removing or neutralizing iron improve skin health overall, like long term?
Okay, that's a very good question, but it's also very technical. So it's a very technical question. So first of all, we have to realize antioxidants, it can neutralize oxidants, but you cannot take iron away. So you only have very limited efficacy. Then we talk about retinols. Retinols people very is widely used, and also I think by doctors, by practice. But the problem with retinols is really speed up skin turnover. So in a way, you speed up skin turnover. It's also in a way you remove iron faster. But the side effect is you got a lot of sensitivities there. You know, increase skin turnover. So when you go to the sun, you are more likely to have, sensitivity. Then we talk about iron chelator. People say iron chelators, but iron chelator is a human-made chemicals. It's treated for iron overload disease for free iron. As I mentioned, iron is stored in the protein. In ferritin, as I said, ferritin is made by God, and iron chelator is made by human. And chelators cannot compete with God-made proteins. Ferritin has very strong binding affinity for iron. So in a way, the man-made chelators cannot overpower ferritin away. Then we have to think about it differently. So instead of really go fighting, one by one, I use two strategies. The first one, I use vitamin C to reduce iron. So it's like I open the gate for iron to flow out from ferritin. Then I use the knowledge I learned from my occupational medicine, from the coal dust study. Use pill powder is a form of calcium carbonate. So the one iron is released, calcium carbonate is going to absorb all the iron right away and exchange by ion exchange and release calcium back to the skin, which help your skin for barrier protection and absorb iron. And this process now is not reversible because once it's grabbed, it cannot go back. So when you wash your skin, you get rid of all this iron. Your skin is clean.
Wow, interesting. Okay, so tell me a little bit then about what's the ideal regimen? You have a supplement and you have some skincare products. So what's the ideal if someone wants optimal benefits of rebalancing their iron? What should they take? What should they do?
Well, I think, well, first to use cleanser. Cleanser is, I also have water soluble and water insoluble or lipid soluble iron chelators there. So that I still have that chelators is to crack. And I know because most iron is in the glands, in the hair care, in the hair glands, sweat glands. So use the cleanser to really prepare your skin. Then use the skin cream or the skin emulsion. I design skin emulsion is very light texture for day, and skin cream is for light repair and to recover. And I also have eye cream is to reduce dark circles. And we didn't talk about dark circles. If we have time, we can talk about it. How dark circle is formed, and good to the goal. To go, and then you take supplements to balance your iron. Either you can take before meal in the morning, or you can take it before you go to bed. It doesn't matter. It's mainly two mode of action is reduce inflammation that we have tested in the lab for so many times. And then is using the same concept of DR to move iron from overloaded tissue back to the blood where we balance it. And is wonderful. I think the effect is wonderful.
It's a complete system that you're orchestrating the flow of iron to benefit longevity. That's wonderful. I'm sure our audience would love to hear your take on dark circles and how those come about and how your products can help with that.
Yes, okay. So I think the dark circles actually is come from two parts. One part is melanin. That's what it was educated, and you can hear a lot. Melanin is a pigment. So if you have, that there's a lot of things to treat melanin. But the other overlooked factor is iron, excess iron. And that excess iron is not only ferritin, it's also from a hemoglobin. And it's when you use too much your cell phone, for example. So actually, micro blood vessel breaks. And you have micro blood vessel breaks, it means that your blood is going to be leaked. And that has the position of hemoglobin. Is that if you hit your arm very hard, you got bruise. Same thing with dark circles. So my eye cream is not only have the factor to address melanin, but I also address hemoglobin ferritin, excess iron. So instead of one dark circle eye cream claim melanin that address 50% of darkening factors, mine's address both 100% excess iron and melanin. So the outcome is much better.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's awesome because I know we have all these different eye products. So it's fascinating to hear that these are only addressing just one portion of the equation and you've designed something that really is going to help with all of the, like a holistic approach to dark circles.
Yes.
So let's talk a little bit about some of your advice on the business side for wellness founders and practice owners. A lot of people listening are practice owners, founders, or they are product builders of their own in the wellness space. What's one thing you wish more people understood, either about health or about building science-backed products?
Well, that is a very good question. I used to tell my students, and I said, if you are MD, you need to know one disease and many factors cause the disease, so you can provide better treatment. And I said, if you are a PhD student, you need only focus on one risk factor, and then see how many diseases are going to affect. So you see the picture. So PhD is one factor, one risk you study really now very well, then treat for different disease. But if you're a doctor, you know really good disease, now many, many risk factors. So I think the doctors doing the practice, I mean, if they know the really good science, they can provide solution. But I think no matter what a doctor do or a researcher do, I think it has to be proven by clinical trials. And even with skincare, and you cannot just tell a marketing story. And I think it has to be shown by clinical data. And that is what I'm doing now for each product that we launched. We'll have clinical trials to prove what we say. I mean, for practice, I think when they choose product, they should ask for clinical data.
I think that's great advice. I love products that are backed by science, and it's important. It's underrated in the industry. So I think it's great that you're bringing that out to the public. So tell us, as we close out, tell our audience a little bit about where they can find your products. I know you're in some stores, but I'm sure they can get them online as well. Could you give us that information?
Well, that would be great. Yes, skincare, IONSKIE. So ironskincare.com. We're also on Amazon, but instead of searching iron, you can search iron by Dr. C. It's easier because they're all the similar brands name. So it may be confusing, but if you search iron by Dr. C, it's available on Amazon. And we're also in doctor's office as well. So you can, if you see a dermatologist or you see certain med spa, and you can find it. But if you couldn't find it in your med spa, in your dermatology office, you can ask for it, and maybe they're going to request us to be partner.
Wonderful. That's
Yes.
awesome. Great information. Awesome. Well, Dr. C, this has been an eye-opening conversation. I love when science challenges what we think we know and also kind of what we're brought up being taught. For anyone listening who wants to learn more about Dr. C's work, skincare, or supplements, I will show a link in the show notes, so you'll have that. If this episode sparked questions about labs, inflammation, and iron, I hope it encourages you to have a deeper conversation with your providers or your longevity specialists to stay curious. Dr. C, thank you so much for being here. And to our listeners, thanks as well. And like and subscribe if you'd like more information on cutting edge technologies coming out in the longevity space. We'll see you next time.